So when you're choosing a bass guitar amp, there's a couple of things you need to think about. One of those things is how are you going to use it? So are you using it for practice at home, or are you going to be using it for performing on stage? So if you're using it for home, there's a couple of things you want to think about. Really, you don't want it to be too loud. Ultimately, you don't want to annoy the people that you live with or your neighbours. So a small speaker is really going to work well. Wattage, really 10-15 watts is all you need. But there are a couple of other things you want to think about when getting a practice amp. First of all, you really want to make sure it has a headphone out, because ultimately there are going to be times, especially if you're playing in the evening, where you want complete silent practice. Another really cool feature to make sure it has would be an auxiliary in. That effectively just means that you can take music from another device, whether it be a laptop or a phone, and have the music from that come through the speaker. That means when you play, you'll be able to hear it, and if you use the headphones, you'll be able to hear it through the headphones. Now, when you get to gigging, you're going to need a lot more power, really. So you really want to go for sort of 3-figure wattage. I'd say starting at 300, especially if you're on pub gigs. Another thing you want to consider about this kind of gear is, well, it's worth mentioning there are two types of amp. You get the combination amps, or combos, which is where the amplifier and the speaker are kind of in the same unit. And then there's the head and cab option. Now the head and cab option can be quite useful for gigging because it makes it a little bit easier to transport. Both items become a little bit lighter when they're separated. But also, as you get more gigs and better gigs, you might feel that you need to upgrade your gear. So by having the units separate, at some point you might want to buy another cab, or add another cab, or change the head. So those are things you might want to think about in the future.